Imagine you are walking through life, feeling weighed down by stress, frustration, and doubts. No matter what you do, the noise in your mind never seems to quiet. Have you ever wondered why, despite all your efforts, peace still feels out of reach? Or how many times you found yourself reacting to situations instead of responding with calmness and clarity? It feels like you're constantly battling with yourself, doesn't it? But what if I told you that the mind you are struggling with is the same one that holds the key to your freedom? What if the peace and strength you've been searching for have always been within you, just waiting to be unlocked? Would you believe it's possible to train your mind to overcome anything, no matter how challenging life gets? Right now, you might be feeling overwhelmed by the noise of the world, the pressure to keep up, or the weight of your own thoughts. But the truth is, the power to silence all of that is already within your grasp. Imagine the clarity of mind, the calmness in your heart, and the strength to face anything life throws at you with a deep sense of peace. How would that change the way you live each day? This journey starts with understanding that your mind is like a muscle, one that can be trained to focus, to be at peace, and to find strength even in the toughest of times. Through simple practices like mindfulness and meditation, you can start awakening the power of your mind, just as ancient wisdom, like Buddhism, teaches. It's not about escaping the struggles of life. It's about transforming the way you respond to them. Before we dive deeper, take a moment to pause and reflect. If you find this idea intriguing, let me invite you to engage with us here at Wisdom Woven. There's so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of viewers subscribe. So please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comments below. To start this journey with energy, drop a Namo Buddha in the comments. It will help set the right intention for this transformative path. As we begin this journey together, know that the path to unlocking your mind's true power starts right here, right now. Let's take the first step. Silence the noise, taming inner chaos through mindfulness. In our everyday lives, it often feels like we're surrounded by a constant hum, a never-ending noise that clouds our minds. The sound of deadlines, responsibilities, expectations, and worries fill our thoughts, leaving little room for peace. Have you ever noticed how the more you try to ignore the chaos in your mind, the louder it gets? You might be in a quiet room, but inside, it's as if a storm is raging, pulling your attention in 1,000 directions. It becomes harder to focus on what truly matters, and soon, you're left feeling lost, exhausted, and disconnected from yourself. But what if I told you that this noise, this chaos, doesn't need to control you? What if the answer to overcoming it lies not in fighting against it, but in simply acknowledging it and letting it be? The first step toward finding peace is learning to sit with the noise, not as an enemy, but as a part of your experience. Mindfulness, the ancient practice of being fully present in each moment, is the key to taming the storm inside. When you hear the word mindfulness, you might think of a calm person sitting cross-legged, meditating for hours. But mindfulness is not just about meditation. It's a way of being, a way of experiencing each moment with awareness. Whether you're washing the dishes, driving your car, or talking to someone, mindfulness is about paying attention to what's happening right now, without judgment or distraction. It's about observing your thoughts without getting caught up in them, noticing the sensations in your body, and being aware of your emotions as they arise, without letting them control your actions. In Buddhism, we are taught that suffering arises when we are not present. We are either stuck in the past, replaying old mistakes and regrets, or we are anxious about the future, worried about things that haven't even happened yet. Our minds are often not in the present moment, and because of this, we become disconnected from ourselves and the world around us. The practice of mindfulness pulls us back into the here and now, helping us see life clearly, without the distortions of fear, anxiety, or distraction. When we begin to practice mindfulness, something remarkable happens. We start to notice how often our minds are hijacked by thoughts, worries, and judgments. The moment you try to focus on your breath or the sensations in your body, your mind will wander. It's natural, but instead of becoming frustrated with yourself, You simply notice it and gently bring your attention back. Each time you do this, you are training your mind to stay present, to not be swept away by the tides of thought. It's like a muscle that gets stronger with use. You see, mindfulness doesn't require you to change your life or eliminate the noise around you. It teaches you how to relate to the noise differently. Instead of letting it pull you into a spiral of stress, you begin to see it for what it is, just noise. It doesn't define you. It doesn't control you. And as you practice, the space between the noise and your ability to remain calm widens. Over time, you'll begin to notice moments of stillness, moments of peace, even in the most chaotic situations. This is why mindfulness is such a powerful tool in overcoming the challenges of life. Life will always have its ups and downs, its unexpected twists and turns. But when you can stay present, when you can sit in the middle of the storm and remain grounded, you gain an incredible sense of freedom. You stop being at the mercy of your thoughts and emotions. Instead, you learn to master them. It's important to remember that mindfulness is not about achieving a perfect state of calm or eliminating negative thoughts. It's about developing awareness and cultivating a peaceful mind amidst the noise. The goal is not to escape from life, but to fully embrace it, every moment, every sensation, every thought. And as you do, you begin to understand that the noise is just a part of the human experience. It is not who you are. You are the one who observes the noise. You are the stillness beneath it. One of the greatest gifts mindfulness offers is the ability to be free from the constant pull of your thoughts. You learn to observe them without getting swept away. Imagine being able to hear your thoughts without feeling like you have to act on them or believe them. Imagine the freedom of not being controlled by the endless chatter in your mind. It's like standing on a shore and watching the waves come and go. The waves of your thoughts rise and fall, but you don't get swept away by them. You remain grounded in the present moment. This is what mindfulness teaches: how to stand in the center of your life, unaffected by the waves of your thoughts, emotions, and external circumstances. But to do this, you need patience. The mind is like a wild horse, running in all directions, pulling you with it. It takes time and practice to train that horse, to bring it under control. But with each step, with each breath, you are making progress. And slowly, you'll find that the horse starts to walk alongside you, calm and steady. In the beginning, it may feel difficult. Your mind will resist. It will throw up distractions, old habits, and patterns. But this is natural. The key is not to force the mind to be still, but to gently guide it back to the present moment each time it wanders. Over time, you'll start to feel a shift. You'll notice moments where you are not reacting impulsively, but responding with calmness and clarity. You'll feel more grounded, more centered, and more at peace. The practice of mindfulness doesn't require you to change who you are. It simply helps you see yourself more clearly. It helps you understand that you are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions. You are the one who experiences them. You are the awareness behind them. As you continue practicing mindfulness, you'll find that the noise in your mind begins to fade, and in its place, you discover a deep, unshakable peace. It is a peace that comes from knowing that you don't need to control everything. You don't need to fight the noise. You just need to be present with it. And in that presence, you will find a freedom to truly live. The path of mindfulness is not always easy, but it is always worth it. It's the path of awakening to your true nature, the nature of stillness, clarity, and peace. And as you walk this path, you will find that the noise of the world becomes less and less important. What matters most is not what happens around you, but how you respond to it. And with that response, you'll find yourself not only overcoming the chaos of your mind, but transforming it into something beautiful, something peaceful, something powerful. The noise will still come, but you will no longer be lost in it. You will be the calm in the center of it all. And that is where true strength lies. The root of suffering, understanding and letting go. In life, it is natural to seek happiness. We are constantly in pursuit of things that will bring us joy, satisfaction, and fulfillment. But what if I told you that the very things we chase can often lead to our suffering instead? It sounds strange, doesn't it? After all, How can the things we desire so deeply cause pain? Yet this is where the teachings of Buddhism offer a profound insight into human existence. Suffering is not something that happens to us by chance, nor is it something that is only caused by external events. In Buddhism, suffering is understood as a natural part of life. It's not just about physical pain or hardship, but emotional and mental distress as well. It is rooted in something much deeper than we often realize: our attachment to things, our desires, and our inability to let go. The Buddha taught that there are three main causes of suffering: craving, aversion, and ignorance. Craving is the desire to hold on to things, to make them last forever, to find lasting happiness in things that are impermanent. Aversion is the opposite, the resistance to things we don't like or don't want in our lives. And ignorance is the lack of understanding that all things are impermanent, that everything in life is constantly changing. At the heart of it all is the mind's attachment to what it desires and what it rejects. We want things to stay the same, but nothing ever does. The seasons change, relationships evolve, we grow older, and circumstances shift. But instead of accepting these changes, we cling to what is familiar, to what we think should remain constant. And in doing so, we create the very suffering we wish to avoid. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever held on tightly to something, only to realize later that it was causing you more harm than good? Perhaps it was a job, a relationship, or even an idea of who you should be. The more you clung to it, the more stress, anxiety, and frustration it brought. Letting go felt impossible, like losing a part of yourself. But in reality, letting go is not about losing anything. It's about gaining freedom. It's about freeing your mind from the constant cycle of desire and fear that keeps you bound to suffering. Buddha's teachings tell us that when we cling to things, whether it's people, possessions, or even ideas, we are holding on to something that is temporary, something that will inevitably change. And because we cannot control the natural course of change, we suffer. But if we can learn to let go, to accept the impermanence of life, we can find peace amidst the chaos. The key to understanding and letting go is rooted in awareness. It begins with recognizing that we don't have to cling to anything to feel whole or fulfilled. When we understand that nothing in life is permanent, we begin to see the wisdom in detaching ourselves from the things that no longer serve us. This doesn't mean we stop caring or loving, but rather we stop holding on with an iron grip, hoping that things will stay the same. When we release the attachment to outcomes, to possessions, to the way things should be, we free ourselves to experience life as it is. The moment we stop resisting what is, we open ourselves to what can be. Let me offer you a simple example. Imagine you are holding a heavy rock in your hand. At first, it may not seem so bad, but as time goes on, the rock starts to feel heavier. Your arm begins to ache, and your grip tightens, trying to hold on to it even tighter, thinking that if you just hold on long enough, it won't slip away. But the longer you hold on, the more you hurt yourself. The key to freedom is not in gripping harder, but in simply letting go. When you release the rock, the weight disappears and your pain vanishes. The rock was never the problem. Your attachment to it was. The same is true in our lives. The more we hold on to things, the more we suffer. But by understanding that everything, including our desires and attachments, is temporary, we learn to embrace the flow of life without resistance. We become like the river, flowing naturally, accepting whatever comes our way without the need to cling to anything. We realize that true peace does not come from accumulating or holding on, but from letting go and allowing life to unfold as it is. In Buddhist practice, letting go is not about indifference or detachment from the world. It's about understanding the nature of reality and responding to it with wisdom and compassion. It's about living in harmony with the ebb and flow of life, knowing that what we have today may not be here tomorrow, and that's okay. We are not defined by our possessions, relationships, or achievements. We are defined by our ability to remain at peace, no matter what life presents. The key to understanding and letting go is mindfulness. Through mindfulness, We become more aware of our attachments and cravings. We begin to notice when we are clinging to something, and we can then make a conscious choice to let it go. This practice of awareness allows us to break free from the cycle of suffering and begin living more fully in the present moment. It helps us to recognize that we are not our thoughts or emotions. We are the space in which they arise and dissolve. Letting go also means accepting that pain and discomfort are a natural part of life. We cannot avoid them, no matter how hard we try, but we can change the way we relate to them. Instead of resisting pain, we can embrace it, knowing that it too is temporary. Just as a storm eventually passes, so too does our suffering. By letting go of the desire to avoid pain and the need to hold on to pleasure, we find a sense of peace that transcends the ups and downs of life. This path of letting go is not easy, and it takes time. It requires patience, self-compassion, and a willingness to face the discomfort of change. But it is the path to true freedom. It is the path that leads to the end of suffering. And it is the path that will allow you to experience life in its fullest, most authentic form. So, take a moment to reflect on what you're holding on to right now. What attachments are causing you suffering? What can you release to find peace? The answers are within you. You have the power to let go and be free. When you begin to practice letting go, you may find that the things you thought you needed for happiness, money, success, approval, are not as important as they once seemed. You begin to realize that happiness is not something to be obtained, but something that arises naturally when we stop clinging to the past and the future and simply live in the present moment. The Buddhist teachings on suffering remind us that we have the power to break free from the cycle of desire and attachment. The moment we understand that everything is impermanent, we begin to see the world with fresh eyes. We begin to accept things as they are, and in doing so, we find the peace that has always been within us. So, take a deep breath, let go of your burdens, and allow yourself to simply be. The path to freedom begins with letting go, and as you let go, you will find that suffering loses its grip on you. You will begin to experience a sense of inner peace and clarity that you never thought possible. In the end, the greatest freedom is the freedom from our own attachments. When we stop clinging to the past, when we stop fearing the future, and when we stop trying to control everything around us, we are free to live fully and authentically. And this is where true happiness lies. Not in the things we accumulate, but in the freedom we experience when we let go of everything that weighs us down. Impermanence is strength, embracing change with grace. Life, as we know it, is always changing. The moments we experience, the people we meet, and even our own thoughts. Everything is in a constant state of flux. And yet, many of us find ourselves resisting change. We hold on tightly to things that are familiar, to routines that bring us comfort, and to beliefs that we think define who we are. But in doing so, we miss something incredibly important. The truth that everything, absolutely everything, is impermanent. Impermanence is not a concept to fear. It is not something that makes us weak or vulnerable. In fact, it is one of the greatest sources of strength we can tap into. Once we understand and accept the reality that nothing lasts forever, whether it's a pleasant moment or a painful struggle, we free ourselves from the anxiety of holding on and the fear of losing. When we let go of the need for permanence, we open ourselves to the flow of life itself. The key is not to resist change, but to embrace it. Think about a river. The water flows constantly, never the same from one moment to the next. If the river were to try to hold onto the water from one moment, it would cease to be a river. The beauty of the river lies in its continuous flow, its acceptance of change. And so it is with life. When we stop fighting the current, when we stop clinging to what we cannot control, we too become like the river, fluid, adaptable, and free. Now, you might wonder, but how do I embrace impermanence without losing myself? It's a fair question. After all, how can we find stability in a world that's constantly changing? The answer lies in the awareness of our own mind. When we cultivate mindfulness, we begin to see the truth of each moment as it is, without attaching ourselves to it. Whether it's the joy of a good day or the sorrow of a loss, when we let go of our need to make it permanent, we allow ourselves to experience life fully, without fear of the inevitable changes to come. This is the beauty of Buddhism's teaching on impermanence. It doesn't ask us to deny change. It teaches us to accept it as part of the natural order. We cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. We can choose to remain rooted in our inner peace, grounded in the understanding that every moment, whether good or bad, is simply a passing phase. Consider the seasons. Each one comes with its own unique beauty. Winter brings rest and reflection. Spring ushers in renewal. Summer is filled with warmth and growth. And autumn, with its shedding of leaves, reminds us of the beauty of letting go. Each season is different, yet each is necessary for the cycle of life. Without the changes of one season, the next would not be possible. And so it is with us. Every change we experience, whether we welcome it or not, brings us to the next phase of our journey. The challenge comes when we try to hold on to what we love, fearing that if we let go, we will lose it forever. But the truth is, nothing is truly lost. What we experience in life, even if it feels fleeting, becomes a part of us. The memories, the lessons, the moments of connection, these are not lost to time. They live within us, shaping who we are and how we approach the world. But impermanence is not just about the big events or the changes we can clearly see. It's also about the small, often unnoticed moments that slip through our fingers every day. The way the sun rises and sets, the way a conversation flows, the way our bodies change over time. We often take these things for granted, but in reality, they are all signs of impermanence. They remind us that nothing stays the same, and that is a good thing. For without change, we would not grow. Accepting impermanence means letting go of the illusion of control. It means understanding that we are part of a larger flow of life, and that our time, in any given form, is temporary. When we stop trying to control the uncontrollable, we can start to live with more ease and grace. We can flow with life rather than struggle against it. It's important to note, however, that acceptance of impermanence does not mean passivity. It does not mean we should stop caring or stop trying. Quite the opposite, in fact. When we truly understand the fleeting nature of life, we become more present in every moment. We cherish the relationships we have, the opportunities we are given, and the time we share with others, knowing that it is not forever. This awareness deepens our appreciation and brings us closer to the beauty of each passing moment. Think about the times in your life when you faced a difficult change. Perhaps it was the loss of a loved one, the end of a relationship, or a shift in your career. In those moments, you may have felt fear, grief, or resistance. But over time, you may have come to see that those changes, though painful, led you to new experiences, new growth, and new understanding. In hindsight, you may even see that those changes, though they felt like endings at the time, were in fact the beginnings of something greater. This is the gift of impermanence. It teaches us that life is always evolving, and that every change, no matter how difficult, is part of the process of becoming who we are meant to be. It's like a sculptor chiseling away at a block of stone, revealing the masterpiece hidden within. We too are being shaped by the passage of time, by the changes we experience, and by the way we respond to them. In Buddhism, this understanding of impermanence is a source of great wisdom. It frees us from the attachment to things, people, and even to our own identity. It reminds us that the only constant in life is change, and by embracing it, we become stronger, more resilient, and more at peace. When we let go of the need for permanence, we free ourselves from suffering. We stop trying to hold on to what is fleeting and start living fully in the present moment, knowing that it too will pass, but not without leaving us with something valuable, the wisdom to navigate the next moment with grace. So, the next time you face a change in your life, whether expected or unexpected, remember this. You are not losing anything. You're simply moving through a new phase of life. Trust in the flow. Trust in the impermanence. And know that with every change, you are becoming more of who you are meant to be. Embrace impermanence, for in doing so, you embrace the very essence of life itself. Beyond reaction, cultivating equanimity in daily life. In life, it is not the situations themselves that disturb us, but how we react to them. We face a constant stream of challenges. Someone cuts us off in traffic, a friend says something hurtful, or we encounter a setback at work. In these moments, it feels almost natural to react, often with anger, frustration, or sadness. But what if you could choose a different path? What if you didn't have to react at all? This is where the true strength lies. The ability to maintain peace, regardless of external circumstances, is not about avoiding life's ups and downs, but about finding balance within them. This is the heart of equanimity, a quality that Buddhism teaches us to cultivate. Equanimity is the ability to remain calm, composed, and undisturbed, no matter what life throws at you. It's not about suppressing your emotions or pretending you don't care. It's about being able to experience those emotions without letting them control you. When you react, you become a slave to your emotions. You allow the external world to dictate your state of mind. But when you cultivate equanimity, you are no longer at the mercy of your reactions. You become a master of your own mind. You can experience the full range of emotions, joy, anger, sadness, without being overwhelmed by them. Imagine what it would be like to face a difficult situation with the calmness of someone who knows that their inner peace is not dependent on external circumstances. How would your life change if you could maintain that peace in every moment? One of the most powerful tools for developing equanimity is mindfulness. By becoming aware of our thoughts and feelings in real time, we can begin to notice the moments when we are about to react. For instance, when someone cuts you off in traffic, take a deep breath before you react. Notice the surge of anger or frustration that rises within you. But instead of letting it control you, observe it. Recognize it for what it is, a fleeting feeling, not something that defines you. By practicing mindfulness in these moments, you begin to train your mind to pause before reacting, to create space between stimulus and response. Buddhism teaches that the root of much of our suffering is our attachment to things being a certain way. We attach to ideas of how people should behave, how situations should unfold, and how we think our lives should look. When these expectations are not met, we react. We suffer. But when we learn to let go of these attachments, we find freedom. Equanimity is about detaching from the need for things to be a certain way. It is about accepting life as it comes, without resistance. But how do we practice this in everyday life? It's not about waiting for big, dramatic situations to arise and then trying to be calm. It's about making equanimity a part of your daily routine. Start small. The next time you feel irritation rising, perhaps because someone is late or a minor inconvenience occurs, pause. Take a breath. In that pause, choose to let go of the need for things to go your way. This is not easy and will take time. But with consistent practice, you'll notice that your reactions become less intense and less frequent. You'll start to feel more in control of your emotions and more at peace with the world around you. Equanimity does not mean indifference. It does not mean that you stop caring or that you become numb to the world. On the contrary, it allows you to care deeply without being overwhelmed by the ups and downs of life. When you cultivate equanimity, you can experience the full depth of joy and sorrow without being trapped by them. You can love deeply without fear of losing, and you can face challenges without being crushed by them. You become unshakable, like a mountain that stands firm, no matter how fierce the winds may blow. This practice of equanimity is especially powerful as we grow older. As we move through life, we are bound to face many changes. Our bodies change, relationships change, our roles in life change. These transitions can be unsettling. But when you cultivate equanimity, you become more resilient in the face of these changes. You learn to flow with life instead of resisting it. You realize that change is not something to fear, but a natural part of life's rhythm. In fact, you begin to embrace change as an opportunity for growth. Consider this. When you were young, you may have had a very different idea of what your life would look like. Perhaps you had a vision of yourself in a certain career, living in a particular place, surrounded by specific people. But as time has passed, those things may not have come to pass exactly as you envisioned. Instead of seeing this as a failure or a loss, equanimity allows you to accept it as it is. You learn that life does not always unfold according to our plans, and that's okay. In fact, it can be even more beautiful that way. Equanimity also helps us in our relationships. Often, we react to others based on past wounds or our expectations of them. We expect our loved ones to behave in a certain way, to meet our needs, to make us feel a certain way. When they don't, we react. But when we practice equanimity, we begin to accept others as they are, without trying to change them. We stop projecting our needs onto them and allow them to be themselves. This doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we care without expectation. We love without attachment. The more you practice equanimity, the more you will notice that life becomes less stressful. The small things that once bothered you, the delays, the misunderstandings, the inconveniences, lose their power over you. You begin to approach life with a sense of peace and acceptance, knowing that everything is temporary and everything is part of the flow of life. You can stop fighting against life and start flowing with it. Equanimity is not something that happens overnight. It takes time, patience, and consistent effort. But like any practice, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. With each day, you will find yourself reacting less and observing more. You will find yourself able to meet the challenges of life with a sense of calm and clarity, knowing that no matter what happens, you have the power to remain at peace. In the end, the greatest gift of equanimity is the freedom it brings. You become free from the tyranny of your emotions, free from the constant need for control, and free from the suffering caused by your attachments. You become the master of your mind, and in doing so, you unlock the deepest peace and contentment that life has to offer. This peace is not something that is given to you by the world. It is something that arises from within you when you choose not to react, but to remain steady and calm, no matter what comes your way. So, next time you're faced with a challenge, remember this. You don't have to react. You don't have to be controlled by your emotions. Instead, you can choose to respond with equanimity, calm, composed, and undisturbed. This is the true path to freedom. It starts with the simple decision to let go of your need for control and allow life to unfold as it will. The mirror within. Developing self-awareness through meditation. Take a moment to pause. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Inhale and exhale. Let the air fill your lungs and then release it slowly. As you do this, pay attention to how your body feels, how your mind races, or maybe how still it becomes. Notice the thoughts that come and go like passing clouds in the sky. Right now, are you aware of how your mind is working? Self-awareness is the key that unlocks everything. It's the foundation of true peace, and it starts with understanding the very nature of your own mind. Without it, we live unconsciously, carried by the currents of our emotions and thoughts. Our reactions become automatic, and we no longer see life as it truly is. Instead, we respond to the world based on old patterns, habits, and conditioning. But once we begin to understand ourselves, we start to see things clearly, without the distortion of past experiences or emotional baggage. Think about this for a moment. How often do you find yourself caught up in thoughts, like a river flowing uncontrollably, sweeping you away from the present moment? The truth is, most of the time, we are not living in the present. Our minds are constantly occupied with the past, thinking about what happened, or with the future, worrying about what might come. And when we're lost in these thoughts, we are not aware of the beauty and peace that already exists right here, right now. This is where meditation steps in. Meditation is a tool, no, a bridge, that helps us reconnect with the present. It allows us to step back and observe our thoughts and emotions as they arise, without being swept away by them. It gives us the space to be aware of how we are reacting to life's challenges, instead of automatically reacting based on old patterns. It helps us break free from the automaticity of our thoughts and gives us the opportunity to choose our responses. When we meditate, we are essentially looking into the mirror of our own mind. We see the patterns, the habits, and the tendencies that shape our lives. But this mirror is not there to judge us. It's simply there to show us the truth. And the truth, although sometimes uncomfortable, is the only thing that can set us free. In Buddhism, meditation is not just a practice, it's a way of life. It teaches us to look inward, to become aware of the subtle workings of our mind, and to understand the nature of our suffering. When we are self-aware, we can begin to see the root causes of our pain, our attachments, and our desires. And with that awareness, we can start to heal. Imagine, for a moment, that you're like a muddy pond. The surface of your mind is clouded by emotions, thoughts, and distractions. When the water is muddy, it's difficult to see anything clearly. But when you sit in stillness, like a pond that becomes calm, the water clears. In that stillness, you can see everything clearly, your thoughts, your emotions, and the world around you. Meditation is the act of clearing the water so you can see with clarity. In the stillness of meditation, we learn to observe our thoughts without identifying with them. We watch them come and go like waves on the shore without getting caught up in them. Over time, this practice helps us realize that our thoughts do not define us. We are not our anger, our sadness, or our worries. These are just passing phenomena. They come and go like clouds in the sky. But beneath them, there is something deeper, something constant and unchanging. This is the true essence of who we are. Self-awareness is not something that happens overnight. It's a gradual process, like planting a seed and nurturing it every day. The more we meditate, the more we learn about ourselves. We begin to see the ways we hold on to pain, the ways we resist change, and the ways we try to control everything. We start to see how our ego operates, trying to protect itself, trying to stay safe, but often keeping us trapped in old patterns of suffering. But with awareness comes the power to change. When we see our tendencies clearly, we can choose a different path. We can let go of the need to control everything and start living with acceptance. We can stop identifying with our thoughts and begin to see them for what they truly are, fleeting, impermanent, and not a part of our true self. Meditation helps us to create space between our thoughts and our reactions. It teaches us that we are not our thoughts, we are the awareness behind them. This is the true power of meditation. It doesn't just calm the mind, it transforms the way we relate to ourselves and the world. It opens the door to a deeper understanding of who we are, beyond the labels we've placed on ourselves. It allows us to be more compassionate, not just with others, but with ourselves as well. When we see ourselves clearly, we can accept our flaws and imperfections without judgment. And in that acceptance, we find peace. So, the next time you sit down to meditate, don't expect instant results. Don't expect your mind to become completely still right away. Instead, just show up. Sit with yourself. Observe your thoughts. Be patient with yourself. Over time, you'll begin to notice small shifts. You'll begin to feel more present in your life. You'll begin to notice how much of your suffering comes from your own mind, and with that awareness, you'll find the strength to let go. Remember, self-awareness is a lifelong journey, but every step you take brings you closer to freedom. And the more you practice, the more you will realize that the mind, with all its turbulence and noise, is not something to be feared. It is something to be understood, embraced, and ultimately transformed. Compassion as courage, turning kindness into inner strength. Compassion. It's a word we hear often, but do we truly understand what it means? In Buddhism, compassion is not just an emotion or a nice feeling we have toward others when they are suffering. It's a deep, powerful force, one that transforms both the giver and the receiver. Compassion is the courage to look beyond your own struggles and reach out to others, to hold space for their pain, and to ease their burden. But what does this really mean for you in your everyday life? Many of us believe that we have to be strong, that we must carry the weight of the world on our shoulders without showing any vulnerability. We think that compassion is a luxury, something we can only afford to give when we're in a good place ourselves. But that's not the true nature of compassion. Real compassion doesn't come from a place of perfection or a lack of struggle. In fact, it often arises most powerfully when we are in our own pain. It's in those moments when we open our hearts to others, recognizing that we're all in this together, that compassion can truly heal. Think about the times in your life when someone showed you kindness, when they simply listened to your worries or offered a simple act of help. How did that make you feel? Wasn't there a sense of relief, even if just for a moment? Compassion has that power. It doesn't always solve the problem, but it lightens the load, offering warmth and comfort in the middle of life's storms. Now, what if I told you that this very same compassion can also be a source of strength for you? It may seem counterintuitive, right? We often think of compassion as something that leaves us open to being hurt, something that might weaken us. But in reality, compassion is a way of fortifying your heart and mind. It helps you see beyond your own limitations, beyond your own pain, and find a deeper connection to the world around you. It's easy to think that kindness is soft, that being compassionate makes you vulnerable. In fact, the opposite is true. Compassion requires immense courage. It's not always easy to open yourself up to others' suffering, especially when you have your own burdens to bear. It takes strength to put yourself in someone else's shoes, to let go of the judgment, and to simply be there for them, no matter how messy or imperfect the situation is. True compassion is raw, genuine, and doesn't expect anything in return. It's a giving of yourself, your time, your energy, and your understanding, without the expectation of something coming back to you. And yet, this is where the transformation happens. The more you practice compassion, the more it strengthens your own heart. By showing compassion, you also create space for self-compassion. You begin to recognize your own struggles and show yourself the same kindness you show to others. You give yourself permission to be imperfect, to have difficult days, and to feel pain without judgment. Compassion isn't just for others, it's for you too. In Buddhist teachings, compassion is considered one of the most important virtues. The Buddha himself emphasized the importance of cultivating a compassionate heart, not only for the benefit of others, but for our own inner peace and strength. Compassion is the antidote to the anger, frustration, and resentment that often arises when we feel hurt or misunderstood. It softens the edges of our pain, transforming it into something more bearable, more human. When you practice compassion, you start to see the world in a different light. People become less like strangers and more like fellow travelers on the same journey. You realize that we all share a common experience of suffering, of joy, of growth, and of change. You begin to see that the things that divide us, our differences, our opinions, our mistakes, are not as important as the things that unite us, our shared humanity. In the face of challenges, whether personal or collective, compassion can become your greatest strength. When you face adversity, it's easy to turn inward, to feel isolated in your suffering. But compassion calls you to turn outward, to reach beyond yourself, to help others, and to open your heart to the world around you. This act of reaching out, of offering kindness in the midst of hardship, not only helps others, but also deepens your own resilience. You realize that even when you feel at your weakest, you still have the ability to make a difference. True strength doesn't come from resisting vulnerability. It comes from embracing it. It's not about building walls around your heart. It's about allowing your heart to be open, to feel the pain of the world, and yet still choose to act with kindness, with love, and with courage. Compassion teaches you that even in your own struggles, you are not alone. It reminds you that we are all interconnected, that our well-being is tied to the well-being of others. The more you give, the more you receive, and in this exchange, your heart grows stronger, not weaker. Imagine for a moment what would happen if everyone, including you, made compassion their priority. What would your life look like if, instead of reacting with anger or frustration, You responded with kindness and understanding. How would your relationships change if you chose to see others with compassion, no matter their flaws or mistakes? And perhaps most importantly, how would your relationship with yourself change if you treated yourself with the same compassion you extend to others? The key to lasting transformation lies in this practice: to give without expectation, to love without limits, and to show up with an open heart, no matter the circumstances. It may not always be easy, and it may take time, but the more you cultivate compassion, the more you will see the world and yourself in a new light. And in that light, you will find the strength to overcome anything. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed by life's challenges or the pain of others, remember this: compassion is not just an act of kindness, it's an act of courage. It's the courage to soften, to open your heart, and to give in the face of adversity. And as you do, you will discover that the more you give, the stronger you become. Sit quietly for a moment. Just be here. Breathe slowly. Let your breath return to its natural rhythm. Notice how your chest rises, then falls. The world will continue to spin. Let's spin. Right now, just be still. Now listen closely. There's something very old and very important I want to tell you. It is not a secret, but many forget it. The middle way. That is the path that will save you from suffering. Not too much, not too little, just enough. Many people live like a pendulum, swinging from one extreme to another. When they are happy, they want more and more. When they are sad, they want to escape quickly. But both are chains, one made of gold, the other made of iron, and both keep you trapped. You see, chasing pleasure all the time makes your mind restless. You become addicted to the next moment, the next achievement, the next comfort. You are never here. You are always running. And then, when pain arrives, and it always does, you fall apart. You try to run again, but there is nowhere left to run. So, you suffer even more. Others swing the other way. They become too hard, too strict. They deny themselves joy, believing that suffering is noble. They carry their pain like a badge of honor, but they forget to smile. They become cold, distant from life, always serious, never light. That too is imbalance. The Buddha once lived in luxury. Then he lived in great hardship. Neither gave him peace. Only when he sat under the Bodhi tree and found the middle way did he awaken. Not too tight, not too loose. Like tuning a string on a lute. If the string is too tight, it will snap. If it is too loose, it will not play. Only in balance does the music of life begin. Let me tell you something very simple. When you eat, just eat. Not too much, not too little. Eat what nourishes your body. When you work, just work. Not to please others, not to become famous. Work with care, with love, with presence. And when you rest, truly rest. Do not carry your burdens to bed. Lay them down. The sun sets for a reason. When you think, don't overthink. The mind loves to run in circles, creating problems that don't exist. Be aware of your thoughts. Let them pass like clouds. Don't hold on. Don't chase. Let them come. Let them go. The sky does not worry about the clouds. Balance is not a trick. It is not a method. It is a way of seeing, a way of being. It is knowing when to act and when to be still, when to speak and when to listen, when to hold on and when to let go. When you begin to live this way, your heart will feel lighter. Your steps will become steady. You will smile without trying. You don't need to live in a cave or wear robes to walk the middle way. You could be a mother, a father, a teacher, a farmer, a worker, or retired. The path is for all. It is not about escaping the world. It is about walking through it with awareness, with calm, and with deep kindness for yourself and others. Anger pulls you off balance. So does fear. So does greed. The middle way is not the denial of emotions, but understanding them. When you are angry, pause. Breathe. Ask gently, what is hurting in me? When you feel fear, don't run. Say, I see you. I know you're here. This softens the emotion. It doesn't control you anymore. You begin to find space between the feeling and your response. Now listen. Many people think they must be perfect before they can find peace. That is not the middle way. Perfection is another extreme. Let go of it. The middle way is about effort, not force. It is about patience, not pressure. It is about learning, not punishing yourself. Even when you fall, you are still on the path, if you rise again with gentleness. When you speak, speak simply. Speak truthfully, but speak with warmth. Don't say everything that comes to your mind. Say what brings light, what brings clarity. Words can lift or crush. Choose wisely. The middle way is in your speech too. Even love, when clung to tightly, becomes suffering. But when love is held with space and freedom, it blossoms. It grows. That is balance. You can care deeply without losing yourself. You can give without emptying completely. Just like a tree gives shade but stays rooted. And when pain comes, and it will, meet it with balance. Don't run. Don't cling. Hold it softly, like you would hold a crying child. Pain is not your enemy. It is your teacher. Sit with it. Listen. It will pass, but it will leave you wiser if you let it. In your daily life, walk slowly. Do one thing at a time. Pour your tea with both hands. Notice the steam. Taste it fully. Even this is Zen. Even this is the middle way. Life is not a race. It is not a competition. It is a path. And each step is the way. When things go well, don't become proud. When things go wrong, don't fall into despair. Hold both with open hands. Say to both, this too shall pass. Like waves on the ocean, emotions rise and fall. Don't be the wave. Be the ocean. Sometimes people ask me, Master, how do I know if I'm on the right path? I say, are you more peaceful? Are you more kind? Are you more aware? If the answer is yes, you're walking well. If not, adjust gently, not with shame, with curiosity. The middle way welcomes you back always. Now take a breath. Feel your body sitting here. Feel the stillness around these words. That is balance. Not something to chase, just something to return to. Again and again. There is no final destination, no finish line, just each moment, lived fully, with care, with calm, with balance. This is the middle way, and this is enough. Wisdom in adversity, seeing challenges as teachers. Life is full of challenges, and the older we get, the more we realize this truth. Every day seems to bring something new, whether it's a personal struggle, a difficult decision, or something unexpected that knocks us off course. But what if, instead of seeing these challenges as obstacles, we viewed them as opportunities to grow? What if we could find wisdom even in the hardest times? The teachings of Buddhism offer us a profound way to look at life's difficulties, not as burdens, but as valuable lessons. The first thing we must understand is that suffering is a part of life. It's something we cannot avoid. Whether we're dealing with loss, illness, or simply the ups and downs of everyday life, suffering finds its way into our lives. But the wisdom of Buddhism teaches us that suffering isn't the end of the story, it's part of the journey. And how we respond to suffering is what truly matters. When we experience hardship, our first instinct is often to avoid it, to resist it, or to escape from it in any way we can. We feel uncomfortable, and we naturally want to push it away. But in doing so, we miss out on the most important part of the experience, the lesson it holds for us. Think about the last time you faced something difficult. How did you respond? Did you try to fight against it? Or did you take a step back and allow it to teach you something? The wisdom in adversity comes from shifting our perspective. Instead of focusing on the pain, the frustration, or the fear that the situation brings, we can ask ourselves, what is this trying to teach me? How can I grow from this? This simple shift in mindset can transform how we experience difficulties. It's like looking at a dark cloud in the sky. Instead of seeing it as something that blocks the sunlight, we can see it as an opportunity for growth, for understanding, for change. In Buddhism, there's a concept known as the Four Noble Truths, which tells us that life is full of suffering, but that suffering is not permanent. The key is not to run from suffering, but to face it with an open mind. It is in the process of facing our challenges that we develop resilience and wisdom. Think of the lotus flower, which grows in muddy water. The flower doesn't avoid the mud. It grows through it, rising above the murkiness and blooming into something beautiful. This is how we are meant to grow through adversity. But growing through adversity isn't easy. It requires patience, humility, and a deep understanding that life isn't about avoiding pain, but about learning from it. There's a saying in Buddhism, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. This means that while we can't avoid pain, we can choose how we respond to it. We can choose to use it as a tool for growth, rather than allowing it to break us down. When we face challenges with this mindset, something incredible happens. We begin to see life as a series of lessons. Every difficulty we encounter becomes a teacher, showing us new ways to understand ourselves and the world around us. If you've ever had a hardship that, in hindsight, made you stronger, you know exactly what I mean. It's not the challenge itself that defines us. It's how we face it that shapes who we become. Imagine this. You just lost something important to you, maybe a job or a loved one, and at first, it feels like the end of the world. But over time, you start to notice something interesting. The pain lessens. You begin to learn things about yourself you never knew before. You discover inner strengths you never thought you had. You find that your ability to cope with life's challenges grows, and, over time, you even become grateful for the lessons you've learned through suffering. This is the wisdom that comes from adversity. The Buddha taught us that suffering, when approached with the right mindset, can lead to a deeper understanding of life. It teaches us impermanence, that everything is constantly changing and nothing lasts forever, not even pain. The bad times will pass, just as the good times will. When we accept this truth, we can begin to live with a sense of peace, knowing that everything, good or bad, is temporary. This doesn't mean that we should seek out suffering or invite pain into our lives. It simply means that when challenges arise, we don't need to fear them. Instead of seeing them as burdens, we can see them as opportunities to practice patience, compassion, and wisdom. The more we face adversity with an open heart, the more we grow. The beauty of this mindset is that it doesn't just apply to the big, life-changing events. It also applies to the small, everyday challenges we face, like getting stuck in traffic, dealing with difficult people, or handling unexpected disappointments. In these moments, we can remind ourselves that every challenge, no matter how small, is an opportunity for growth. By embracing this attitude, we begin to see life's challenges not as something to fear or avoid, but as something to embrace and learn from. There is also a deep connection between our minds and our responses to adversity. In Buddhism, we're taught to cultivate mindfulness, being present in the moment and fully aware of our thoughts and feelings without judgment. When we are mindful, we can observe our reactions to challenges instead of being consumed by them. This allows us to respond with clarity rather than react impulsively. With practice, mindfulness becomes a powerful tool for transforming our relationship with adversity. As we continue on the path of training our minds, it's important to remember that wisdom doesn't come all at once. It takes time and practice. Just like any skill, the more we work at it, the more it becomes a natural part of who we are. The more we practice seeing challenges as teachers, the more resilient we become. And in time, we begin to understand that life's greatest lessons often come from the toughest moments. This wisdom doesn't make the challenges disappear, but it changes the way we experience them. It gives us the tools to face whatever comes our way with grace and strength. It reminds us that even in our darkest moments, there's light waiting to be found, waiting to teach us something we might not have seen otherwise. As you continue your journey, remember that the challenges you face are not just tests of your strength. They are opportunities to grow in wisdom, to deepen your understanding of yourself, and to become a more resilient, compassionate person. Every difficulty is a step on the path to greater self-awareness, and every step brings you closer to the peace and clarity you seek. So, the next time you face a challenge, whether big or small, take a moment to pause. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? And let that question guide you toward a deeper understanding of the wisdom that adversity holds. Liberation of the mind, living with unshakable peace. Now that we've walked this path together, we reach the final step, the ultimate goal. But here's something important. The journey never truly ends. The moment you realize that peace isn't something you have to chase, something outside of you to find, but something that already resides within you, is the moment you truly begin to live. Living with unshakable peace doesn't mean that you won't face challenges anymore. It doesn't mean that life will suddenly become easy, free from pain, loss, or difficulty. What it does mean is that no matter what happens in the world around you, you can find a stillness within. A place where no storm can shake you, no words can disturb you, no circumstance can uproot you. You can live with a deep knowing that, though the winds may blow and the rains may fall, the core of your being remains steady. Think about it. We spend so much time running after things, chasing success, seeking validation, trying to find happiness in things that come and go. But what if you were to stop running for just a moment? What if you looked inside and realized that everything you've been searching for is already there, quietly waiting for you to acknowledge it? What if in that stillness, you found the peace you've been craving all along? The teachings of Buddhism guide us to understand this deep truth. Buddha spoke of liberation, not as an escape from the world, but as a liberation from the turbulence of our own minds. It's a liberation from the endless cycle of craving and dissatisfaction that leads us to suffer. And it's possible for each of us to experience it. But it's not something you gain by doing more. It's something you uncover by letting go of the distractions, the attachments, and the false beliefs that cloud your perception of life. True liberation comes from accepting things as they are. It's about letting go of the need to control everything, of forcing outcomes, of trying to fit the world into our limited view of what we think it should be. When you allow life to flow naturally, without clinging to or resisting what comes your way, you unlock a sense of freedom that's beyond words. You become like water, flowing effortlessly, adapting to every shape and circumstance, but never losing your essence. To live with unshakable peace means that your mind is no longer driven by fear, by past regrets, or future anxieties. You become free from the constant chatter that drags you in 1,000 directions. You become present. This moment, right here, right now, becomes your anchor. You stop seeking validation from the outside world because you understand that true worth and peace come from within. You stop searching for happiness in places it cannot be found because you recognize that happiness is simply the natural state of a peaceful mind. And how do you get there? The answer is deceptively simple, yet it requires a deep commitment. You practice. You practice presence. You practice mindfulness. You practice letting go of attachments. And most importantly, you practice kindness towards yourself and others. When you wake up each day, you approach it with the understanding that no matter what happens, you are enough. You are whole. You are already at peace. Over time, this practice begins to shift your perception of the world. You stop seeing challenges as obstacles to avoid or things to fear. Instead, you see them as opportunities to deepen your wisdom, to strengthen your compassion, and to cultivate more peace within. You see life not as something that happens to you, but as something that happens for you, a canvas upon which you can paint your understanding, your growth, and your peace. What happens when you live this way? You become a beacon of calm, a source of strength and peace for everyone around you. People will notice the stillness in your eyes, the calmness in your voice, the warmth in your presence. You become a living example of what it means to live freely and peacefully. And through your own example, you inspire others to find their own peace. But there's one final realization. This peace is not an end goal. It is not something you finally achieve and then leave behind. Peace is a process, a way of being, a continual unfolding of your true nature. You must continue to return to this place, to remind yourself of it when the distractions of the world try to pull you away. And that's okay. It's all part of the journey. So, my friend, if you are to live with unshakable peace, understand that it is not about being perfect. It is not about never feeling anger or sadness or frustration. It is not about avoiding the ups and downs of life. It's about learning to embrace them, to experience them fully, and to always return to that quiet place within where you know you are at peace, no matter what the world is throwing at you. This is the liberation of the mind, the true freedom, and it is yours for the taking. There is no need to search outside of yourself anymore. The peace you are seeking is already within you. You just have to train your mind to recognize it, to stay present with it, and to allow it to guide you through every part of life. As we come to the end of this journey, I want you to remember one thing. Peace isn't a destination. It's a way of living. And if you take just one step today towards cultivating peace in your life, whether through mindfulness, compassion, or just simply being present with yourself, you are already living the wisdom of a liberated mind. So, continue this practice every day. Continue to seek peace within, and you will find it everywhere. Thank you for walking this path with me. And remember, no matter where you are in life, the peace you seek is always just a breath away.